Welcome back to the rules of engagement we just analyzed. Trader vs. Thorzain, game 1, 2, and 3. Of course, that was a 5-game series, so didn't get to games 4 and 5, but check those out on the YouTube, youtube.com/official MLGSC2. And of course, if you have any questions about stuff that went on in those games, you can tweet those at me to be answered in the next rules of engagement as well. But going forward to the Q&A, one question we're going to have is from Daniel McIntosh. I think I pronounced it right. Yeah. Love the show and all your casting. Is that a French accent? Also, is static defense first Terran drop play viable in upper leagues as Protoss and Zerg? You can tell my my tech savviness. I don't recognize Mac. So static defense is very viable against Terran and Zerg. As Protoss and Zerg against Terran drop play. Got a little confused there. It is, but you can't invest too much into it. There becomes a certain point when you say, okay, I think I can handle a Terran army straight up, so I need to devote some stuff to drops. And you have to realize that if you don't put a photon cannon or a spine core, you're going to have a small squadron of units defending that section anyway against drop play unless you know where your opponent's army is. So there's 3 ways to beat drops. 1, have insane map vision, which is always step 1. You do it with observers, with overseers, burrowed Zergians. If all your burrowed Zergians die, your overseers die, or overlords die, and your observers die, which could happen against good Terran, you kind of start losing vision, then you have to be prepared to defend. With Zerg, it's a little bit easier because you can have a separate group of speedlings. You have like 20 speedlings, you have in a separate control group, and they can respond to drops fairly quickly. If there's a major engagement, they can also run to help that very quickly because they're speedlings. As Protoss, you have to have the anti-drop control group as well, like 4 Zealots, 3 Stalkers. That group, though, it's much harder to bring that into the main battle because they're slower, so they're strictly anti-drop. And then you're like, you know what? I need those units in my army. Instead, I'm going to put down 2 photon cannons, and that's fine. So you hit that point where like I need to start making some photon cannons. It's a great way to do it. I wouldn't really get it too early in the game though. I'd wait until you're on 3 base to get stack defense. So once you're on 3 base, do it. 2 base, no, unless you're doing that you're getting insanely early forge, and you get 1 random blind cannon in your mineral lines to stop Widowmine drops because you have no observers. But if you're doing a normal build, wait to 3 base, then get that stack defense to help against drops. Next question is going to be from Michael. And he says he's trying to figure out the best counter to Widowmines. So I don't really know what race he's talking about, but it's not super important. The thing to understand about Widowmines is think of Widowmines as a staple unit. A staple unit is a unit that you're never screwed if you make it, right? It's not like, oh, he made a bunch of Marines. All of a sudden, I just make this and I win because I countered the Marines. It doesn't work that way. Yes, if he's pure Marine versus like Colossus or something, but if he has Marines in his composition, it's not like you can just hard counter that, right? Widowmines are like that. They're always a good unit. No, but they're always a decent unit in a composition. You're never going to like automatically lose a game from Widowmines. So you shouldn't be thinking, oh, how can I just crush your Widowmines? It should be, how can I minimize the damage you do to me, right? So that's always have detection with you, identify where the Widowmines are, and make sure that any Glava units you have approaching that Widowmine, you immediately spread them up a little bit. Now, don't go crazy with control groups. If you see a Glava running towards Widowmines and you just like grab them and move them back and forth, not only will they stay clumped, and the Widowmine will still blow them all up if it hits, but also, that whole Glava units isn't doing damage. Instead, what you do is you just individually click a couple of units, split them out just a little bit, minimize the amount of micro you're doing, because if you over-micro, you lose too much damage output, but also try to make sure units don't clump too much. So if you're Zerg, just grab a few Zergians, run them a different way, things like that. Use the Overseer and Mutalisk to snipe off those Widowmines. If you have enough Mutalisk, you can actually one-shot them, and they won't detonate. Just a couple tricks like that. Next question is going to be from Tia Droskeen. And it says, if you are closed off by Widowmines and Marines, all you have is a lair, a couple queens, and Zerglings, what do you do? So, this is like 2 base, right? Assuming you're 2 base, the Terran opened, there's a couple of Hellions to contain, Reapers, Hellions continue to put Widowmines in behind them. So, one thing you want to do, you want to get the Overseer and the Queens, the Widowmines can't push forward. Then how do you break them? Speedies or Roaches. That's it. Roaches, you send 1 healthy Roach in, takes a hit, you back away, it'll eventually regenerate. Your other Roaches come and you kill it. They won't have the unit count at the front to stop the Roaches from killing the Widowmines. If you went Zerglings, just send 1 Speedling at each Widowmine. When it detonates, grab the rest with the Overseer, take them all out. So the key thing